Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Land Scurv. We have family back. No stranger here, and I'm very happy that we can connect this way. We spoke a little while ago when our brother took time from his very, very busy schedule. I was creating a banner that I'll put up soon that has his website and credentials. Dr. V. Issa White, Ph.D., Dr. Issa for Congress.com. And every day he puts out a good word, a realistic word, a word that is not propaganda laced. I'm going to start hearing that on the site and on the platform. And he has remained true to self. He has not changed. He's a man of integrity. I can't say this enough. I'm just so glad that I'm amplified and elevated from just even being in his presence, because his every utterance is full of wisdom. And I want you all, I'm going to drop the link to his website. He gives his total background, which is very impressive, which every time I read it, I seem to see more than I did before, and his background is phenomenal. He is the real thing. Dr. V. Issa White, Ph.D., welcome back. And we're going to take the conversation wherever we flow, wherever you want to take it, because in your run and striving for the political office, it hasn't compromised. I know your id and your essence is going to change things, because you're not going to change yourself. You're unwavering. So let us know, since we spoke to you last, which I've spoken to you, well, but last here on the show, how you've been, what you've observed, things you've gone through, as much as you would like to share, and what you would like to share with folks here to know that they have more than one or two choices for president.
Yes.
And your basic State of the Union address, which for me is the real State of the Union for us. That's all I'll say. Brother, welcome to the show again.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've been on your show. And I miss being on your show. Not long ago, I was walking in a parking lot at a grocery store, Artie's grocery store. I'm sure you remember that. And I saw a brother, and he said, "Wow, you've been on the Land Scurv show." I love Land Scurv. I mean, it was wonderful to hear that, and it's always wonderful to see that people recognize your good and the positiveness that you are doing, not only for the African American community and the African community, but the worldwide community. Because right now, as you know, we're under a war. We're in a war for language and truth and information, and they're shutting people down all the time. I was so happy to hear him say something good about what you're doing, to recognize your strength, and basically to say, keep on doing what you're doing. Don't stop until God tells you to stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So anyway, there has been a lot that has gone on since the last time we spoke. As you know, I'm running this campaign, United States Congress, out of District 10. For many of you who are in the United States, District 10 is made up of primarily Orange County, Florida, and the major city in that county is Orlando, a county, a district that's about 1.8 million residents, very, very large. For some of you who may be listening from Africa and other parts of the world, the congressional districts are divided up among the states. You know, we have 50 states in the union. Each state has a couple of senators. Then they have numerous Congress people representing the district. and the congressmen go into a, a bicameral structure that we call Congress, a House of Representatives, a little bit different than the Senate. The Senate handles things that are primarily away from the people. They're more infrastructure of the government. Congress, on the other hand, the congressperson supposed to represent the interests of the working class people, the everyday people, the individuals that are on the street. So that's the position that I'm going for. Now, within this, there has been a lot of strangeness that's going on. Over 2 years ago, I launched this campaign. And I launched the campaign because the incumbent, I believe, was not representing the will of the people. And as opposed to representing the will, he is representing the corporate interest. He is getting money from that interest and he is voting for the things that that interest wanted. His interests were people, organizations like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, the Gay Alliance corporate entities, and those establishments that did not line up with the real needs of our community, did not line up with the cultural nuances of our community. And then I had a chance to speak to him, and it was during a Ramadan celebration. You know, for many of you who are Muslims know that at the end of each day of fasting, we have Eid, so we pray and we eat our food. And I feed 300 to 400 people a night during this period. So I saw him and I asked him to come to our session. The session, or the food session, were poor people. We're talking about people who are homeless. We're talking about people who are down on their luck. We're talking about people who had homes but had no food or furniture. I was doing that service. And the fellow said that he was not interested. At that particular point, I said I had to run. In fact, I think God moved me before my tongue moved me because I am a person that I try to represent the best of God. I try to be an example of what God is and what the prophets are. So therefore, I spoke before I even thought it was a movement and something directly from God Himself. So as I did this, a number of people began to say, "Well, you know, you're taking on a machine." And at that time, I was running as an independent. Now, as many of you know, that in the United States they have two major parties: Republican, Democrats. Then they have minor parties like the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, the Progressive Party, and whatnot. And I was running as an independent, or what we see in Florida, an MPA. Now I'm running and I'm doing this good work, getting our message out. The first attack from the establishment came in January. In January, as many of you know, is the month that we celebrate the birth of Martin Luther King, an icon in Black America, a major personality in world history. And during this parade, you have literally tens of thousands of people come out to witness this parade. And we were in it, and we waited. They put us as the last group in the parade. We had about 70 people strong. Then as we were about to march, the parade organizers, who called themselves the Orlando JCs, Junior JCs, which is an organization, but they're aligned with the political party, the Democratic Party, and the incumbent Maxwell Frost. and they were aligned with the city government, the mayor's office, the police, and so forth. So they told us at the last minute, after waiting for 4 hours, that our participation was not wanted. I asked why. They said they didn't like our message. What was the message? The message was, and still is, that Martin Luther King stated that war is an evil. Now, we had that message because, one, we were completely against the war in Ukraine, and of course, the genocide that's taking place in Gaza. And at this time, and still now, it hasn't changed, the Biden administration, the Harris administration, the incumbent, were all favoring both conflicts. They were giving billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions to Gaza. So this was taking place, and we were completely against this nonsense, because it was wrong. And so, since we were against the establishment, they kicked us out. But the real reason is that they did not want the public to see this message. We were the first in Florida to say that it was a genocide going on in Gaza. We were the first in Florida to say and argue that the Ukraine war is a folly war, and a war that was really pushed and set up and manipulated by the United States to draw Russia into a conflict. All right? And we'll talk about that conflict in a second. And again, they did not want this, so they kicked us out. What's next? The next thing that came against us was a whole element of our accounts being frozen. Unheard of. All of a sudden, they're being frozen. But you know, in America, we are poor people's campaign. Every penny, nickel, and dime is important to us. And so, therefore, by freezing us, it stranded us for a while. Then they utilized the banks to do this. And the Bank of America came and said essentially that, hey, we apologize. But you didn't apologize. What you did, you was doing something for the establishment. People have to understand the establishment, the political establishment, has media working with them. They have banking institutions working with them. They have educational institutions like universities and colleges working with them. They have corporate entities that's working with them. There's several of units that they utilize to suppress voices. So ultimately, we were up and running again. Then the next line that came across was that 4 weeks prior to the primary, to get on the ballot, they said, well, Dr. White, this is the establishment, the Democratic Party of Florida. And they really control the board of elections, supervisor of elections. They really control that. So they called me and sent me a letter and said, listen, you have to run as a Democrat. I said, why? And the response was, well, it's because you registered too late. I asked, how the hell is this? I registered over a year ago as an MPA. And their words, and God is my witness. They said, well, if you don't like it, you can sue us, but the primary would be over. They knew they had me over a barrel. They knew they were lying, but we don't have the money to sue them. It costs millions of dollars to sue a political establishment. Who has that? Well, I don't, and my campaign didn't. And plus, if I was able to get the money, the primary would have been over. So they put us between a rock and a hard place. because they know that in the general election, they don't have a chance. Because my demographic are primarily young Black Americans and Latinos, young whites, and Muslims. They don't deal with no primary mess. They go straight to the general election where things happen. So they were able to block us in that manner. Then if things couldn't get any worse, I have a young brother. When I say young, he's 45, 50. Very powerful man. He's involved in the music industry. He has studios. You know, he's one of those brothers that has his hands in a different type, several pots, and he knows how to stir them to make things happen for him and for his community. Well, he's helping me. He's my campaign manager. Out the blue, his car was torched. His Maserati car was torched, just like that. Then they tried to close him down his business. Then the people now working with me, they're beginning to have financial trouble. They're beginning to lose their jobs. They're beginning to have their rent and their mortgage due. A lot of stuff that's taking place. Let me tell you right now, and I'm telling the world, the American political system is not infallible. You have a lot of corruption here. So when I hear people talk about, the corruption that they have in Nigeria, or the corruption they have in Namibia, or the corruption they have in Kenya, or the corruption they have in India and Pakistan, or they have in parts of Eastern Europe or the Caribbean, or in South America like Peru or Argentina. The mother of corruption is right here in the United States. Because the corruption that we have here has an impact on the world. And it shifts policy in the world. And it can cause death in the world. That's why this is the mother of corruption. But nonetheless, we continued to carry on because this movement, this everyday people's movement that we're talking about, is not just a political movement. It is a divine movement. It is a revolutionary renaissance that's taking place, where people are beginning to wake up. At one time, they told us that we couldn't do it, but things are shifting. How are things shifting? Right now in the United States, 72% of the American people don't have no trust in the two-party system. While we have over 200, 300 million in our country, 70% of them do not even vote in the party because they lost hope. And they don't feel that this is a republic or democracy any longer. However, people like myself are turning the pot to bring new life and bring new hope back to the community. How is this? By raising questions, by highlighting the contradictions, by looking at the hypocrisy of the system and not being afraid to tell it. How is this? All right. In our campaign, one of the things we focused on was homelessness. Now, I get calls every day from Africa. I get calls from Sri Lanka. I get calls from Brazil, and people are talking about homelessness. Dr. White, can you help me? Can you send this, that, or the other? Inshallah, I do what I can. But here in this country that you call the wealthiest country in the world, listen to me, those of you who are outside the United States. Do you realize that we have 8 to 10 million people who are homeless in this country? We have 6 out of 10 children who go to bed hungry in this country. We have the majority of the American people, they're not even middle class any longer. They're working class people. the working poor. And most of them do not even have $500 in the bank. And most of them are 1 or 2 weeks of being homeless themselves. This is the type of country that we live in today. We're having what you call a syphilis tsunami that's taking place in the United States, especially among the African American and the Black community. Syphilis, something that we created a serum, a remedy for in the 1920s, 19-teens, 1920s, 1930s, and it's coming back. It's here now. And it's ravaging the lives of Black men and women in this country right now. What else? We have people talk about reproduction rights in our country. I didn't even make that part of my campaign, because the real issue is that we have maternal mortality, whereby Black women who go to the hospital to have a baby, they're 10 times more than white women to die giving birth. And you have nobody making a mumbling word about that. My campaign is about unemployment. Yes, I know what the Harris Biden people say, 3%. That's a lie. It's 2 times that. And it's going up. And for the Black American male, African American especially, it's 12 or 13%. It's not an accident that most of these brothers are driving Uber or Lyft, trying to make some money on the side, because there's nothing available except for 2 things: jail and the military. Did you realize that 52% of the military are made up of men of Black and African American descent? What is that telling you? They deliberately keep things from them so they cannot be hired, to tell them, if you want to make a go of things, if you want to be all what you can be, join the American military. That's where it's at right now. Then we have other things that's taking place. People can't afford homes in Orlando. That's in other parts of the country. The rents are so high, mortgage is so high that people cannot live any longer. I know plenty brothers and sisters, especially sisters, are living in their cars with their 2, 3, and 4 children. This is today's America. All right? And don't make no bones about it. Things are very, very bleak. But instead of looking at the reality of what is taking place, they try to give you a side story, an illusion. I'll give you a case, an example. Right now, the United States is on the verge of 3 major wars. We're already in 2. What are they? One is the Ukraine. We already had we had boots on the ground already. Several Americans have been killed. Hundreds, if not thousands, have been killed already, that they killed from the American people. We have people who are going around recruiting, Americans recruiting people to join in the militia in the Ukraine to fight Russia. What's the storyline? One, that Russia deal was developed by the United States very easily. They said to Russia said to them in the late 1990s when the Soviet Union crashed, they said, okay, you're over there, but don't expand NATO. Well, what happened? Americans lie. They kept on expanding NATO. Russia in the year 2000, 2010, 2012 couldn't do anything about it. They were building quietly. In the Caribbean, and you notice, Lance, we have a storyline that says that we play dumb to catch wise, especially the Jamaicans have them. So what took place was that the Russians started building their military, started building their economy quietly. America, with their arrogance, was saying, we got them controlled. They can't do nothing about it. Eventually, we're going to take over all of Russia and divide it up. That's what they wanted, because Russia have Ukraine that United States don't have. They have oil that is second to none. They have an agricultural unit of wheat that literally feeds the world. But Russia said no. So in 2015, 2014, they said to the United States, you got to stop it. All right, United States said no. We go to they put in their own puppet government, and that was Zelensky. Zelensky, he's a worse actor than Ronald Reagan. And then he began to shift and do things for the Americans, and the American props him up as a great leader, and tells him, "We will help build your army strong. You don't need the Soviet Union style tanks any longer. You're independent." So they build up the military, not realizing that the Russians were already building up their military. Let me take a footnote to you for all your listeners. Did you know that Russia has enough military supplies and armaments to carry on a 20-year war? We can't do that to the United States, because we like quick wars. Russia, they're a whole different animal. While we fight for 2 rounds, they prepare for 30 rounds. So therefore now, United States, with their warmongers, Lindsey Graham and the crew, and Biden and Harris, and even Obama was in part of this, and Clinton, they said, go and invade. Not go invade. Just keep what we're doing. And Russia warned them, if you don't stop, we're going to respond. And they said, well, you can't do nothing, Russia. And Russia responded slowly. Now today, 800,000 Ukrainians have been killed. Major cities are destroyed. Did you know that they're even rounding up men 60 and 70 years old and kids who are 14 to put in the front? And you have people all around the world trying to get troops over there. Well, I shouldn't say trying to get troops, but they have their puppets in parts of the world trying to get people to join the military. And I tell you right now, the Ukrainians don't have a ghost of a chance of winning. Russia has supersonic missiles and everything. They don't have a chance of winning. So while this is going on, what does the United States do? What do they do today? They have a hearing, Lance, on UFOs.
Wow.
Who cares about UFOs? If I want to see UFOs, I go look at Star Trek. All right? If they're UFOs, they're not bothering us. And why should I bother them? That's not the issue. The issue is that we have major issues taking place. Let me tell you how this is also working. Now, yesterday, some of you may have heard, there's a guy by the name of Ryan Ruth, 58 years old, from Hawaii, tries to take Trump out at the Trump International Golf Course. Now, they don't want you to deal with this issue now. Why not? Let's take a look at this guy. One, he's unemployed. He's not independently wealthy. He has a felony record that would make Charles Manson blush. But somehow this guy got the money to travel to at least 10 countries recruiting for Ukraine. He's driving a security style SUV, you know, those big black SUVs they drive, the Chevron or whatever you call them, suburban. He's driving that. He has enough armament in his van, on his body, to start a small war. Then he goes to the Trump International Golf Course. He puts the muzzle or the barrel of his gun through the links and gets off some shots. Now the question comes in, Lance, how did he know where Trump was going to be? How did he know that? 2, who's paying him? 3, how is it nobody was able to stop him? He parked his car in plain view to leave. How was this? There's something's happening. All right? Let's take 6 weeks ago when Trump was shot in the ear. You have a young boy, 19, 20 years old. He has an off-shell account of over $1.8 million. He works for minimum wage in a nursing home as an orderly. He rides his bicycle to the place and he has a long rifle. He has a car not far from the area where Trump was going to speak, an old fairground. Nobody searches it. He gets a ladder and climbs up on a roof in plain view. The police sees him, don't do anything. Then he gets off a shot that takes the piece of the ear off. And there are other shots that we believe that was around that. What is this? What's taking place? There's a lot of things that's taking place that is really ugly in reference to this. Now let's go a little bit farther. Last week I was with Cornell West. Now Cornell West is a friend of mine. I've known him for over 25, 30 years. I respect the man. We disagree on some things, but I respect him. I love him. He's my brother. He's running for the presidency of the United States. Now, while he was talking, guess what? He had no security. Why not? Biden Harris refused to give him security. Even though the things he is saying, for some people, is worthy of death. Now, this is why it's important to Black America. We have had more Black men and women who are leaders to be assassinated than any other group in the United States. No one can come close to the number that our community has experienced in reference to assassinations. So now you have this brother. He's saying things that are against the establishment. And you have a so-called woman that you say is Black, can't even say a mumbling word about giving him security. That also goes for Robert Kennedy. Didn't give him security either, even though his father, Robert, was killed because of his anti-war and pro-civil rights agenda. His uncle, John Kennedy, was assassinated in 63, and they didn't, and because of his position. And the young Robert who was running had received a number of threats. Jill Steins, another independent. She's getting threats and no security. What is taking place? It's as if this is not a democracy. It's as if we live in some type of strange monarch dictatorship. The people we don't like, they will be targeted. Very interesting. And you probably heard me say this before. Many of you probably heard me say this before. In America, they do 4 levels of attack when they don't like you. What are they? The first level is character assassination. What they said about CORNELL. Oh, well, he's behind in child support. He makes a lot of money. They said he has girlfriends and so forth. What they say about Robert Kennedy. Oh, he's a bad guy. His family don't like him. They think he's crazy. He follows conspiracies. What they say about Jill. She never wins the elections. She's just a person who ruins elections for other people. First level. All right. Said things about me too, and I'll come back to that. Second level. They tried to trump up charges against you. All right. They tried to pull Mr. Trump into jail with a number of charges against him. Jill Stein, as well as John Kennedy. All right. What's the next level? Finance, break you, make you spend every dime you have. Because if you don't have the money, you can't make the fight. Now, if that doesn't work, what is next? They take you out, your life. And that's why it's so dangerous. It doesn't make a difference for me right now if I disagree with anyone or if I agree with them or not. But everyone's supposed to have a voice and let people choose, as Malcolm stated, and as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated, put your clean glass against their dirty glass and let the people choose. You don't have to go around and try to destroy them, ruin them, hurt their families, then to take them out. But that is the state where we are now in the United States. So we have that taking place because they want to continue they want to continue a war. Why do they want a war with Russia in reference to Ukraine? Because they know that the American empire is going down and they're trying to keep the American hegemony. And the American hegemony is the element of controlling the world, dominating the world. The other day, they stated that they're going to start sanctioning more African organizations and individuals because they are listening to RT, which is Russian Times Radio and TV. And they are negotiating with Russia. Well, if Africa nations want to do that, or Asians or Latin Americans, that's their business. Everybody has the right to self-determinism. So therefore, what a war would do, a war would bring would divide all of this stuff up. The United States can argue that they are fighting for democracy and keep out another propaganda BS of control. Remember this, every war that we have had, the line was, we're fighting for democracy. World War I, fighting for the sake of democracy. World War II, fighting for democracy against Nazism and tyranny. Vietnam, fighting for democracy against communism. Iraq, fighting for democracy. Got to save our way of life against tyranny of the Hussein. Every war we have, Spanish-American War, I'm fighting for democracy because of those terrible Spaniards. It's a game they play with you. And some of us are so foolish not to believe it. We're fighting for democracy, and you don't even know what democracy is, and you surely don't have it right now in the United States. That's for real. So they want to continue this conflict. All right? even to the extent Lindsey Graham is talking about using weapons of mass destruction, giving weapons to Ukraine that can go into the heartland of Russia. And Russia stated the other day, Putin said, listen, if you do this, America, we have no choice but to consider you and NATO openly at war against us. We already know you're at war against us, but this is open now. And he went on to say that the Pacific and the Atlantic will not make you safe. Listen to that. That's just what he said. You know, because for years, the United States stated nobody can attack us because of the Great Pacific Oceans. Well, now, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and a host of other countries, and Turkey, because Turkey right now, they're on the verge of leaving NATO, can hit America, can hit us in Seattle or Los Angeles, in Dallas or Chicago, Miami or New York. Doesn't make a difference. Nobody is safe. Now let's go on to Gaza. Now for weeks, for months, not over a year, I should say, not months, I've been telling people that the United States has no interest in ending that conflict. If Biden wanted to end it, he could end it with a stroke of a pen called an executive order. If Harris wanted to end it, she would be able to tell her Master Biden, to end it, to stop it. But they want it. Why do they want it? Well, first of all, I'll tell you why. One, listen to this carefully. The majority of Biden's cabinet are Jewish Americans. And all of them have joint citizenship to Israel. Biden, the Secretary of State, is Jewish, and he has citizenship to Israel. They're not going to do anything to hurt their country and their relatives. They're going to do everything to expand it for them. So therefore, the attack on Gaza was pre-planned, right? And they were really using this October the 7th as an excuse to rid Gaza of Palestinians. Already they're selling land, beachfront property that was in the hands of the Palestinians right now in New York, in Boston, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Miami. It's a land grab, people. They don't care nothing about the people, and they don't care nothing about the hostages. Now, on the American news, they tell you that, 40,000 people have died. It's a lot of numbers, but it's still not half of it. When you look at the fact that the people who have not been found under the rubbish of the buildings that has fallen down on them, the people who have died because of injuries, weeks later, months later, people who have died because of, now you have emboldened Jewish settlers. They're shooting people like a duck shot shoot. We're talking people of over 150, almost 200,000 people have died in Gaza. And they have no place to go. They say, hey, let the Egyptians take them in, put them in the desert. They go into the desert, that's where they're going to stay. And that's what's happening. You see? And and this and then you have um, uh, Netanyahu, who is a war criminal. He wants to stay in office so he don't go to jail. So what does he want? He wants to widen the war. He wants the United States to do his fighting. Now just look at his fighting. Remember a few months ago, they talked about a pier. Brothers and sisters, that wasn't no pier. That was a military installation. They voted on that a year and a half ago. And this is where I get pissed off at people like AOC and a bunch of the other progressives, because they fought for it. They voted on it. They don't see past their nose. All they do is make a lot of noise. They voted for it. All right. And they also voted to expand the illegal military base in Syria, and to expand the two military bases in Iraq, where a couple of American soldiers, black, not a couple, but several, were killed not long ago. They're just as bad because they have become part of the establishment. So this is the reason why we continue to fight. This is the reason why that we have to continue to speak the truth. Because the country is in a terrible situation and is leading the world down to hell with them. And if no one is able to stand up, then we're not going to have nothing. Right now, I'm so proud of the Global South. They have aligned with BRICS. BRICS is a good counterbalance against NATO and the UN, because the UN is controlled by the Western governments. It's a good balance. Well, that makes me want to bring up something else I forgot, and that is Haiti. You know, the other day, Trump was talking about people eating dogs and cats, and they're Haitians. Let me tell you something. Haitians have always been the whipping boy for immigration issues in this country. How is this? When Biden became the president, guess what? The people he was deporting the most were Haitians. He was deporting them not only to Port-au-Prince, but to the Bahamas and Guantanamo Bay. But at the same token, he was letting in Ukrainians and light-skinned white Latinos. Some of you say, well, all Latinos are light-skinned. I beg your pardon. My family is from Costa Rica and Panama. You can see me. And my daddy is 10 times darker than midnight. And you have major black cities there: Colón, Panama, Puerto Limón, Costa Rica, Cartagena, Cartagena, and Colombia, Bahia, Salvador, the Yucatan of Mexico, Habana in Cuba, Santiago de Cuba in Cuba, all black places. The majority of Latin America are black people. The only reason you don't see it because they suffer the same fate that many black people have in other parts of the world. They don't have the money or the resources to travel. If you want to see how many they are, check out the World Cup or the Olympics and see all those brothers and sisters playing basketball and running track and playing soccer. That should tell you something, if nothing at all, that there's a major black presence there. So therefore, they're letting in these other people, right? While the Haitians are being denied. Don't forget that in the 1980s and 1990s, they put Haitians in concentration camps while they were letting in light-skinned Cubans. Remember that, with the Maria boat lift. They let them in, criminals, but put Haitians in concentration camps under viaducts in Miami. and Fort Lauderdale and other places in Florida. Don't forget that. So now the point is, and Trump did not have to do this, but they all do it, pointing to the Haitians. All right? And started talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs. Well, let me tell you, some societies eat that, and maybe some people do, but it's not mass scale. I mean, we have laws in Florida of not eating horse meat. Who eat the horse meat? Light-skinned Cubans. You go to some of the stores, if you're not careful, you'll pick up some horse meat thinking that is beef. Africans eat a lot of different foods. I've been to Africa. You know, you live in Africa. Most Africans don't discriminate a meat. You know, they have something called bush meat, don't they? Don't they?
Yes, they do.
Right? Everything that can walk, crawl, is game, or fly, is game. They don't just discriminate. Nothing about nobody's negative culture. And we have in Florida, we have a bunch of what you call Florida crackers, right? They eat possum, squirrel, geese, panther, snake, alligator, anything that walks. So, you know, why are you making a thing about the Haitians? Because they're the whipping boys for anything that's bad. You see, the United States always use scapegoats. And that's why the two-party system is one bird with two wings. And they're flying together to the same destiny. And that destiny is American hegemony. That destiny is American dominance. That destiny is corporate interest and control. That destiny is war and war and war. That's what it is. Now, let us go and talk about a little bit about Mrs. Kamala Harris. Let's talk about her for a second. They're setting Black people up. That if she loses, blame the Black people. Now, check this out, right? She said for all these years that she was of Indian descent, Asian. That's cool. She can be Black, Asian, Indian. I mean, there's 8 different groupings of Black in that culture. So she's one of them. No problem. But don't try to masquerade that she has African American cultural experiences or that she has Jamaican cultural experiences. Somebody said to me, well, all Jamaicans are Black. I beg your pardon. Go there. I know some Chinese Jamaicans and white Jamaicans. They speak better patois than I do.
Right about
They've been
that.
there for years. All right? Jamaica is a multicultural and racial country, like the United States is. The only difference, the majority are Black, here the majority are white right now. But she doesn't even have Jamaican cultural experiences. Nothing. You know, she tried to talk about the other day that, after she put so many Black men in jail because they smoked a little herb, started talking about, yeah, I'm Jamaican. My people smoke herb. Hey, you don't. Come on, give me a break. All right. Then they're trying to say that, she went to Howard University. That makes her African American. No, that doesn't at all. 20% of the students at African American universities are non-African Americans. They're Asians, they are Persians, they are Arabs, they're Latinos, they're everything. So that doesn't make you that. African American is an experience, like an African. I can go to Africa, but I'm not African. I don't have that experience. I can live in Europe, but I'm not European. I don't have that experience of them. I can visit Mecca, and I love Mecca, and I can visit Medina, but I'm not Arab. I don't have that experience. But to try to masquerade that she's an African American. Then you have the Democratic Party with their black stooges telling black men that if you don't vote for her, it would be her fault, it would be your fault if she lose. Why don't they take that to the Asian community? Why don't they take that to the women's community? You see, they only look at us when they need something from us. And that is to vote for right now. And the next election, they may not even need us anymore because we're on the verge of being obsolete in this country. That's another discussion, though. So anyway, they're on this push. Support her because she's a Black American. But she has been more detrimental to Black Americans as the Attorney General, and she has done nothing that I can think of positive for the African American experience since she's been vice president. Someone told me the other day, well, vice president don't do anything. Well, I said, that's a lie. You forgot about Dick Cheney? You forgot about Vice President Gore, who was strong? Huh? Did you forget about Vice President? He was under Carter. It goes with the M. It just slipped my mind. Mondale. Did you forget about Vice President Rockefeller under Nixon that he changed later on to Ford? Did you forget about Hubert Humphrey under Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was a strong vice president? Or did you forget about Lyndon Baines Johnson being a strong vice president under John Fitzgerald Kennedy? You see, they fool us because we got so caught up in their propaganda, racist narrative, of being paternalistic. And I'm telling people now, on this election, it's not about color. It's about who can get the job done, who can help this country, who can put this country on a right track, trajectory, so that we will not destroy ourselves. And Harris is not there. I spoke to her, Lance, in Boston about over a year or so ago. Sad to say, I wasn't impressed. Check this out. She was so busy trying to act like that she was Black. She said where she washes her collard greens, she says she washes collard greens in the bathtub.
I heard that.
Now, I know a lot of sisters. And I seen my mother and my sisters wash collard greens. I've never even heard of a Black person washing collard greens, not even kale. Not what is the leaf you have in Jamaica? What is it called? Callaloo. They don't wash that in a bathtub. Black people don't wash food in places where we wash our bodies. African people of African descent. If it's in Africa, if it's in Europe, if it's in South and Central America and the Caribbean, if it's in the United States, we don't do that. I mean, I never heard of a person using the same bucket to wash food, the same one that they urinate in, or the same one that they wash their body in. That just doesn't occur. But they're so desperate to forge in a lie to keep a certain narrative in place. Here's another story that just came out. You know, the recent debate 2 weeks ago between Harris and Trump, a whistleblower from ABC signed an affidavit that the Democrats, via ABC and Disney, which they are the same, fed the lady questions. She knew the questions for the debate. And they also had an agreement that they would fact check Trump, but do not fact check Harris. And they also put on that they will not bring up anything about Biden, anything about her record as an attorney general in California, and anything about her brother-in-law, who that she's going to put in the administration if she gets in, who is under fraud charges. That's something. That's just nothing more than another Donna Brazil. Remember, she fed Clinton questions when he was either going against Bernie Sanders or Trump, one of the two. So we have a lot of things that's taking place, man, that is really need to be told that the American community don't know. Many people outside the United States don't know, but you need to know. You know, they're shutting down different medias because they want you blind, crippled, and dumb. They want you to follow a narrative, you know? Do you know something like 30 countries now in Africa are being sanctioned by the United States? Because on the west coast of Africa, they're pushing countries like France out, saying that we don't want you, we know your tricks. You're not going to take our resources any longer. We're not going to follow you and pay for your satellite system. We're going to develop our own. We're going to begin to use our own currency. A lot of countries are doing that in Africa for trading. That goes back to the original statement that I said earlier, and that is that there is a revolution that's taking place among the global South, among young people. Something that's taking place that is good, and I'm proud of it. So, Lance, you know, I talked a great deal.
And we never get tired of it.
You have any questions or concerns that something I may have missed?
Well, I have to say, you've been very, very thorough, and the way you drop the knowledge is not in a way where we're used to hearing it from somebody who has put their hand in the political field. See, politicians don't talk like this. You're more than a politician. The way you talk before is the same way you talk now. You're a truth teller. And again, like I started out, you're a man of integrity. You don't bend. And I'm just so proud I flashed a picture. We go back many years.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Pine
My
Hill.
home in a tiny little bedroom that you took 2 steps too many, you might hit the wall. And even from then, we met outside of the trial of George Zimmerman, if you can remember.
That's right, I remember.
And I was introduced to you, and we hit it off right away. We were actually going to do a show after first talking. So we have social media platforms that for you and take down your stuff. It cannot remove the bond, the lineage, and the energy that has been put out, because we're about this. And here we are in 2024, still about this. And where before I was in Orlando, now I'm in the motherland. But we're
Yeah.
still talking. We're still
Yeah.
striving.
Well, it's a
There's so,
revolution that's taking
yeah,
place everywhere, the motherland, the
y-
United States, everywhere, because people want to know the truth. People
yes,
are not willing, no matter if they're in Botswana or Namibia or Zaire. People want to know the truth, and they want their government and their political leaders to be accountable. And if they're not accountable, they're going to take them out. You see, like West, Harris um, offered him money a couple of weeks ago to drop the campaign. Well, some people offered me money too to drop and to go someplace else. But you see, when it comes down to it, you only have one thing in this life, and that's your name, that's your word. All right? That's it. And let's suppose he would have taken the money. Let's suppose I would have taken the money. Where am I going to go? I become a sellout to my own people, right? I become a stooge, a punk. Nobody likes a punk, you see? And we can't do that. And talking about that, that is what the party has done to many of the black men. You weren't here. I don't know if you saw the DNC convention, right? And
yes.
all these black men crying. They have been castrated. They don't have no more testosterone. Crying. Why are you crying so much for? Oh, Pamela, she's a nominee. I mean, Pamela, okay, fine, but she's not an Obama. What you crying for? Then they get these sissified men who talk just like the women to try to shame real men. You see, the party don't like alpha men because alpha men not going to take that stuff. An alpha man would tell you to go to hell. Take your money, take your car, take your job. The hell with you. And that's what we had in Black America. Paul Robeson, an alpha man. You know, you have people like Charles Houston, an alpha man. You have Thurgood Marshall, an alpha man. You know, you have Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Warrington Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, Khalid Muhammad, Jesse Jackson, Alpha, Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy. These are the men that change the society. You know, you have over there in North Korea, the leader, you know, sissy man, Putin. Putin, he's so gangster, he'd run out there in cold weather with no shirt on and get on a horse and ride it. Men change the society, but they want to change this within the black community. Because when you don't have strong men, you have a decaying society, right? There was a book that came out in 1936 rather, and it's by E. Franklin Frazier called The Negro Family. And he stated that when you pull the black man out of the house, you will see the destruction of the black community, and you will see a negation in direction and prosperity. He said that in 1936. It was followed up in 1960 with Patrick Moynihan called the Moynihan Report. But now we have a bunch of weak men. Hmm. You know, some of that may have something to do with foods too. Who knows? You know, Elas, do you realize that the sperm count of black men since the year 2000 has decreased by 60%. 60%, which is causing them to become more feminine, having erectile problems, and just becoming, I don't know what you want to call it, just feminized. Yeah. I mean, check it out, right? You're from New York. Remember back in the day, we had slap fights, We had
Yep.
slap fights on the streets, in the park. The other day, I was training somebody, young man. He got a little cut on the wrist because I'm a hard trainer. He almost cried. This guy, 23 years old. A little scratch. So what the hell is this? Shoot, man. I mean, some of us back in the day was so gangster, we was playing taco on concrete.
Damn right.
You remember them days?
Yep.
Get scratched, bruised up, you just go home and put some alcohol on it and keep on rolling.
That's right.
You see, it's a different time. But anyway, my brother, I really appreciate this, and go to the campaign. We're having a press conference in a couple of days, and I'll send you the date of it and the time, so you can cover it, to let the world know what happened and what is taking place, and let them know that the everyday people cannot be shut up. We cannot be negated. We're here to stay. And we're always going to be speaking power to the people and truth to power. We're not going to punk out. And what can you do to us? Kill us? Okay, fine. Kill me. I'll wake up in heaven. No problem. I'll wait for you, Lance. But, I have some bodybuilding stuff for you.
You have a lot to do.
They say that when everybody in heaven, that is in Quran, that we're all the same age. So that's the best age that you were. So your best age when you was that bodybuilder was about 21, 22?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, that's what you're going to be in heaven. They're going to have rivers of wine. No more of that boom shine. Night train. There's going to be some good stuff from heaven.
That's right.
You're going to have peace and harmony and forever justice. But until we get there, we got to make it here.
That's right.
So what time is it there now in Africa?
Right now in West Africa, it is 11:14 p.m.
That's when people just getting started. Yeah. Years ago, I used to go to I don't know if it's still there. There used to be a dance hall in Accra called the Kilimanjaro Club. Probably long gone. And man, they would start a party about 7 o'clock in the evening, and it's rolling into the next morning, 7.
Oh yeah, they party.
I've never seen people party like that in my life. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank you. I'm gonna get on now and take care of what I have to take care of.
Yes.
And
yes.
May Allah bless you. Continue to provide the truth that you're doing, and we'll be in touch. And tell
indeed.
your audience that my numbers and everything is in the webpage. They're more than welcome to call me and to talk to me, or to send me questions, or if you need me to come to you. And if you want to have a speaker at an event, I'm more than willing to come.
Yes, indeed. And I'm just so thankful for you, brother. And I'm thankful for the day that we first connected. And you've enriched my life, strengthened me, informed me, taught me. And you've done so in such an effortless, smooth way. This is so embedded in your soul. This is what you're made to do, and you're doing a phenomenal job. And we righteously love you very, very much and support you very, very much. And we broke bread together many a day and
Oh
evening
yeah,
and conversation. Wow.
yeah.
I'm
That's right.
I'm truly blessed, brother. I'm truly
I'm
blessed.
blessed. All right. So
All right,
listen, we're
brother.
gonna go, and may God bless you, and thank you very much, and may God bless your listening audience.
Yes, thank you. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
sir.
night. We'll
You
talk.
too. Good night.
Yes, once again, Dr. V. I really have to say, again, this is not any. We've spent so much time together, and many of our shows that we had on the old channel, they took down. They wanted to do that. And that's okay because we're going to forge forward in an indestructible way, and that will not happen again. But I'm going to post up uh, lots of links from tonight's show very soon and just share them out. I'm going to work on that and get to rest because, like I said before on the other show, I have to get up early, but I could not do this show tonight. When he contacted me again, we spoke earlier today, and it was just perfect timing. So I said, "Yeah, let's do it," because I know it'll be something that'll have me even sleeping better when I finally close my eyes tonight. And, everybody came through. This wasn't scheduled, so I'm so glad that you all came through. And you know it's in my heart to continue. Now, if we have somebody else call me tonight, I have to say it. Come back on again. I'll just have to be tired tomorrow. But yes, thank you all. Gina E, Kelly Land, Indigo King, 1111. We're gonna go through everything. I'm gonna see some names twice. Calamunk 739. Yes, let me see. Let's scroll on up. Maybe there are folks who were here. Gifty Sine, Chance Rogers, Riri. Yes, I think I got everybody. So we're gonna do it like this. Like I said, starting from tomorrow on, we're gonna pick up again. I had some appointments earlier that because those individuals didn't come through, and basically I had plans to do so much more today, but I was waiting for them. And it's one thing that I'm a stickler for is time. Whether it's driving a bus, doing a show, maximize my time to create content. I just don't play with my time or people's time. I really have to be, I'm very much self-motivated, and I expect that in other people, but sometimes, it let you down. Wow. All wonderful memories in that little bedroom there that we painted over. And the studio is being worked on now closer than ever before. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward for Dr. V to come on out to the new studio out here in the motherland to continue what we do. It almost like we're on the Starship Enterprise bridge. And I'm operating the stuff and he's talking. We have more space. And we're going to do some phenomenal conversations, whether it's online, in person. And to me, that's the day that I really know that I'm put here to do something, and we all are. We have to be able to find out what it is our mission is to be and what type of tool in that righteous toolbox so we can execute our purpose. And it really means a lot. So anyway, let me let you all go. You know me, I hate to go, but I have to. I got to get some rest in a few hours. Because remember, it's later for me than it is for those on the East Coast, so it's pretty much up there. But anyway, much love to you all. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna do a bunch of shorts when I'm out there, and get some footage. Make sure my batteries are charged, my cameras. Have a camera will travel. So, and I have some walking footage out here. I'm gonna get some more and add it on. So maybe I have like 2 hours of stuff to look at, just to chill and look at. Anyway, much love to you all. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming through. Bye.